I recently moved back home after living alone in New York City for the past 5 years, and I've been struggling. I moved out at 18, and now I can't help but feel like I'm regressing. I've come face to face with a version of myself that I don't recognize anymore. Did I peak? Am I moving backwards? And does starting over have to feel so scary? As you get older, you start to notice how there's a certain nature to how life works. Everything moves in cycles and spirals, and you find yourself standing in the same places that no longer feel like you. Life in your 20s starts to feel like you're starting from scratch over and over and over again. And that feels very different from what we knew growing up. When you're a kid, the world is pretty chronological: elementary, middle, and high school. You're taught that life follows a linear hierarchy, and will continue to. Newsflash, this is false. And if you found yourself having gifted kid syndrome, this only furthered the strain for external validation. You stop asking yourself what you want and start relying on external measures to prove that you're on the right track. In college, or your early 20s, you start to notice a sense of self emerging, but you're only half an adult and still half a kid. So you tell yourself, what the hell do you know? And follow the structured environment. Internships, climbing the corporate ladder dreams, etc. And honestly, maybe it's easier to be a cog in the machine at the expense of your own individual wants. Because what else are we supposed to know? Our whole identities up until this point have conditioned us to organize our life in a linear fashion according to societal standards of success. When we're taught that life should look a certain way for us, our sense of selves become fragile. What nobody tells you is that life is starting over and over again and again, learning what kind of life you want to live. Not the life that you grew up thinking you had to live, but building new routines that best serve you, figuring out your priorities and what makes you feel fulfilled. If we see life as an endless spiral, then there is no moving backwards. There's only revisiting places with newer versions of ourselves. There's a quote that I really like that I think paints this picture perfectly. No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man. When I look around me, I notice how all my friends are in different phases in life. Some are back in school getting their master's degree to buy some time because they don't know what to do with their life. Some are working a corporate 9 to 5 and have a 401k. Some have moved back with their parents and are trying to figure out what's next. And some are getting married and building a family of their own. And as for me, this might be one of the only times in my life thus far that I actually have no fucking clue what I'm going to do with myself. This brings me back to the question, does starting over have to be scary? My answer to that is, it is inherently scary. And clarity is only given with the inevitability of time and hindsight. But think about it this way. If you look back at all the moments of your life that didn't feel overcomeable, you are now standing on the other side of it. We have lived through every worst day of our lives, and we will continue to do so. It doesn't have to be this huge moment of empowerment, because sometimes life doesn't feel like that. Sometimes there are certain seasons in our life that seem to trudge on for an endless, infinite amount of time with the sole purpose of testing us. And I get it, it's fucking tiring. I don't want my life to be a continuous test of my strength. I don't want to have to prove that I deserve a happy life. But amidst this all, the sun keeps rising every morning. And we keep trying because hope is unwavering. Maybe one day it will all make a little bit more sense.